So here are some of the types of sentences that we can use when we're writing a diary entry. The first one is a short sentence. We looked at those when we were writing setting descriptions. Those are sentences that might only have a noun and a verb, or they might only have a noun and a verb and adjective, like my one today was awful. Passive voice sentences, the clue with those is they often end with by, so something was done by someone. I was chased through the desert by lizards. Adverbials of time, those tell you when something is happening. They can go at the start of the sentence like I've done here, or they can go anywhere else in the sentence as well. And those are things like at noon, after we ate our lunch, at 4 in the morning, things like that. Conjunctions are words that we use to connect to clauses. So we had to dig holes is a clause, the councillors stood in the shade and watched is a clause, and I've used the conjunction while in the middle to connect those two. Colons often replace the word because, and they also connect to clauses. So 0 started crying. He'd been here for over a year and missed his family. Semicolons also connect to clauses, so we need to make sure that on either side of our semicolon, there is a subject and a verb, and they replace and or but. So the councillors ate grilled sausages, we were served porridge again. The some others model is a really good one to use for those. Dashes for parenthesis, that's when we're writing an informal text like a diary entry, and we can use those to add extra information. So X-ray picked a shovel, the shortest one he could find. So here's our challenge for the day. I've got my list of all of those different types of sentences down the side here. The list that you have might be slightly different to this one, so make sure that you check what's on your task sheet before you start writing. But our challenge is going to be to try and write a section of a diary entry, and we want to try and use every single one of those types of sentences. So I'm going to start my diary entry with a short sentence, because I think that's quite an effective way to start, and I'm going to say, today was terrible. Then I'm going to write my next sentence, and I want to start by saying when something is happening. So I'm going to use an adverbial of time. At 4 in the morning is my adverbial of time. I was awoken by the sound of Mr. Pendanski ringing a loud bell and telling us to hurry up. Next one, I'm going to use a colon. I got dressed, making sure I grabbed my hat and my canteen. I would need them later when we were out in the sun. So my colon there is replacing the word because. So now that I've covered that sort of very first part of the day, I'm moving on to something slightly different. So I'm going to start a new paragraph, and I'm going to try and write a passive voice sentence. So I'm going to say I was handed some lumpy porridge by the grumpy cook. The by the grumpy cook there is my clue that I've definitely used passive voice. Going to keep going, try and use a conjunction. As I ate it, I couldn't help but think of my mum. Her breakfasts were always delicious. So the conjunction there that I've used is as. Sometimes conjunctions go in the middle of a sentence, or we can also have them as a fronted adverbial at the start of a sentence. And I've included a colon in there as well, an extra one. Next, I'm going to try and use dashes for parentheses. So her pancakes covered in chocolate chips are now nothing but a distant memory. So I've added that extra detail, covered in chocolate chips, between the dashes. And then last one, I've used the some others model to help me use a semicolon. So some of the other boys scraped every morsel of food from their bowls. Others couldn't bring themselves to eat a single bite. So I've managed to pack all of those different types of sentences into my diary entry.